Mayor Steam.
Present.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Present.
Councilmember King.
Present.
Pashusta.
Present.
Fisher. Baskin.
Present.
Helly.
Present.
Waller.
Present.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Item number 1 is a motion for approving the agenda with number 19 added. We need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 2 is a motion approving the minutes from February 3rd, 2020. Need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We don't have anything under recognitions and awards. We need number 4, consent agenda. We need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Under public hearings, this will be Stephen and Mitch, and we're gonna start out, number 5 is a resolution, public hearing on street improvements on 10th Street Northeast, Oakland Place Southeast to 2nd Avenue Northeast, and 4th Street Southwest, Oakland Avenue West to 1st Avenue Southwest, project 20101. Stephen?
At the Wednesday, February 12th, we held an informational meeting for all of the residents that are associated with street reconstruction projects for this year. And at that meeting, we've sent out about 150 notices for assessments this year. And we had 16 people attend our meeting on Wednesday, where Mitch presented much of the same information that he will be presenting to you tonight. Again, we just like to have those meetings. They're a little more informal. It's a little easier for people to ask questions. We take those into account if we need to make any changes to the plans. So tonight we'll turn it over to Mitch, and he'll do the presentations for the public hearing and take any additional comment that we have from residents.
Mitch?
So we've got 4 projects that I'll be talking about tonight. So if anyone in the audience has any comments about each project, just come up after your specific presentation. So we'll start with 10th Street Northeast Southeast project and 4th Street Southwest. You can see on the maps, here's a map of the proposed project location. 10th Street Northeast Southeast goes from Oakland Place Southeast to 2nd Avenue Northeast, and 4th Street Southwest will be between 1st Avenue and Oakland Avenue West, between the 2 one-ways. I've just got a few pictures of the existing conditions of the pavement. You can see on 10th Street, there's cracked pavement, asphalt patches. We did this large asphalt patch a few years ago because the pavement had deteriorated so bad that something needed to be done before we got to this project. And then 4th Street Southwest has a lot of alligated asphalt, cracking in a lot of spots. This spring, those will probably turn into potholes, so it's time for something to be done there. So what we plan to do with this project, we plan to remove the asphalt pavement on 4th Street Southwest and remove the concrete pavement on 10th Street Northeast, and we would put both of those streets back as concrete. We plan to narrow 10th Street from 44 feet wide to 40 feet wide, so we'll narrow it 2 feet on either side of the street. And then 4th Street Southwest will remain at 44 feet wide, as it is currently. We'll remove and replace deficient sidewalk panels and make upgrades to the pedestrian ramps at the corners where the sidewalk meets the street. On 10th Street, we will construct a dry stormwater pond that's designed to slow down stormwater before it gets to our rivers. And then once we're all done with all our work, we will restore the grass boulevards with sod. As far as underground work, we'll be working on replacing the storm sewer, manholes and catch basins, and then on 10th Street, we'll replace all of the sanitary sewer main and manholes. And then on each of these projects tonight, we will install a tile subdrain line that we will stub service lines to each house for sump pump connections to their house. And as well on these projects, Austin Utilities will be working on water main replacement on both 4th Street and 10th Street, and they will also be performing underground electrical crossings. So the project schedule and impacts, we plan to start with 10th Street in early May as soon as the weather allows us to. And that construction is expected to take about 3.5 months, so ending late summer, early fall timeframe. And then construction on 4th Street, we will start after school is out in June, and hopefully wrap that up before school starts again in August. So impacts during the project are no vehicle access to driveways for residents and businesses. Vehicles have to be parked on adjacent streets. Any boats or RVs or any other trailers that they have in their driveways will have to be moved to other locations so they can be accessed during construction. We do provide handicap parking spaces for those with disabilities so they have easier access to their houses. Garbage and recycling is picked up on side streets or in the alleys of these if they have them. And then if anyone has any boulevard sprinkler systems, we ask them to let us know so contractors can avoid damage during the project. Some of the project benefits are improved ride and safety of the streets, better drainage. The streets are just more visually appealing. You don't have potholes everywhere. As well as decreasing our maintenance costs for both underground utilities and our streets. And sidewalk improvements will help with pedestrian safety and access. The total estimated cost for both 4th Street and 10th Street is $1,275,000. The project will be funded through assessments, state aid funds, stormwater utility fund, and the wastewater treatment fund. And we are generating about $140,000 worth of assessments on all between 4th Street and 10th Street on all the property owners. And how our assessments work, we have different assessment rates for different types of properties. So for a residential street, council approved these rates for $49.09 per linear foot of frontage, and it is $70.09 for per foot of frontage for a commercial street. And then we have sidewalk assessment rates. For 4-inch sidewalk, it is $6 per square foot, and for 6-inch sidewalk, it is $8.50 per square foot. And the two types of sidewalk, the 4-inch is for standard sidewalk, and the 6-inch is sidewalk that goes through someone's driveway, so it's a little stronger and can hold their vehicle weight. The assessment payment options, we will send a bill to those being assessed around Labor Day in the late August or early September timeframe. And they have 3 options for paying the assessment. First option is to pay the assessment in full by October 30th of this fall without any interest. The second way is to pay at least 50% of it by October 30th, and then the remainder would be placed on their property taxes over a 15-year period with a 4% interest rate. And then the third option is to place the entire balance on their property taxes over a 15-year period with that same 4% interest rate. We do have a financial assistance policy for those who reside on the property and are over 65 years old and meet certain income requirements. The assessment could be deferred with interest until the property is sold. And we try and keep everyone updated on what's going on the project. I post weekly updates on our city construction page. We also post occasional updates on the City of Austin Facebook page. And then if there's anything really important we need to get out to residents, we'll hand flyers out door to door. And that's all I have for this project. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
What was the time, the 3-month time frame on that again?
About 3.5 months for 10th Street. So
Starting?
in early May. So that'll take us to late August, September timeframe.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Mitch, on 10th Street, why do we narrow it?
Currently, it's 44 feet wide, which allows for 2 12-foot driving lanes, and then it'd be 2 10-foot parking lanes. We're just going to reduce the driving lanes by 1 foot to 11 feet, and then the parking lanes to 8 feet wide, making it 40 feet wide. There will still be parking on both sides of the road. There's just very little use of the on-street parking there, so it's just a cost savings to us.
All right, any more questions? If not, we need a resolution for.
Question from the audience.
I have a question on the assessment.
So you'll have to
Why don't
step
you-
up.
yeah, come on up here, give us your name and your address and.
Good evening. My name is Michael Huffman. I live at 103 10th Street Northeast, right on the end here of the project. My question is the amount of the assessment and a few questions on how the assessment is gone about. How do you come up with that number? Right now, they're charging me with a commercial rate. And yes, I do run my business out of my home, but what determines where does a home business start and where does it quit? Right now they're charging me about $2 short of $17,000 for my part, and I just think it was a pretty good slap in the face when he walked in and took out a second mortgage on my home and just kind of let me have it. Where does a business start and stop, and how do they procure? What is a business? I mean, if you look on the 4th Street, I've seen people sell Tupperware. They sell candles out of their home. They have home offices. Are they charged a commercial rate? Do you have to have a sign on your building? I'd like to know what that is.
Stephen, you want to handle this, or?
Yeah.
I'm not sure we can, he'll have all the answers. Now you may have to come in and see him later, but let's see what you can do.
So a couple things about that property is back in 2007, we modified our commercial assessments so that if you occupy the commercial property, if you live there and have a business at the property, we charge half. You don't get a corner lot policy. That's always been our commercial requirement. And we charge half of the distance on residential and the other half is commercial. So with Mr. Huffman's property, he was charged a residential rate when Oakland Avenue, which is the street right on the south side of Queens, when that was reconstructed years ago, he was charged a residential rate for that. So now the remainder of the property, half of it is charged the commercial rate. That's what's generating the large assessments along 10th Street is the commercial properties. To answer his question, we look for just basic things when it comes to, is there a home business being operated there on this street project? We look for signs where they're advertising the business use. It may be just common knowledge that there is a business being operated out of that and also used as a residence. So we just look for triggers that reference it as a commercial property or a business use, and then we apply the commercial rate to that. So nothing specific, not one thing. It's not just one thing that we're looking for. We look for signage, we look for, could be advertising at different properties. There's lots of different things that could trigger a home business use.
See, I'm willing to take the sign down if it saves me $8,000.
Are you operating a business out of your home?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
But am I being treated as everyone who operates a business?
When we do the next year when we do street projects, we will look for home-based businesses, just as we have done here. But a lot of times, so the difference with this project is if we're in a residential neighborhood, any of the council members here that have been on a street reconstruction project, you live in a residential neighborhood, your roadway is built to a residential standard. Here on 10th Street, it's a commercial area, the roadway is built to a commercial standard. You have the benefit of and it's built to a commercial standard to meet truck traffic, vehicle traffic coming and going from that business, and that is why there is a higher assessment. If we ran into a commercial use in a residential neighborhood and we're only building a residential section roadway, they would get a residential assessment.
So it doesn't matter what the business is, it's just when you take a walk down, you can look up and you decide, I know this guy, I know what he does. It has nothing to do with the value or how much I do a month. I'm the same as Walmart. No matter what, I get assessed the same. I'm a one-man show.
Are you the old car lot there, the old gas station, or? Are
No,
you
absolutely not. That is a totally different person. We don't like that guy.
He's the detail shop.
I clean up cars in my
Okay,
basement.
Yep. It's right by Queens.
My business takes up about 15% of my home. I mean, I have a great big house, but I have a small garage. I'm by myself, I just came back to work about a year and a half ago. This is what I was planning on doing. I mean, I think it's way too much for what I do.
You are different. You mentioned about Walmart. You are different than Walmart because for half of your property, you would get a residential rate because you live there. Walmart doesn't get that. They're 100% commercial. So just as an analogy, you are different than that. You're treated differently as a corner
Yeah,
lot.
but there's also a numbers game, you know, it only looks like $20 more a foot, but they changed the amount they charge you per foot, or not per foot, but per property too. So if you have 50 foot of this and 50 foot of that, it doesn't come out to exactly $20 more.
Stephen, how long have we had this policy in play for residential and commercial?
If someone had a commercial use and they lived there prior to 2007, they were charged 100% commercial rate. In 2007, we had a property up by Cheers Liquor on 12th Avenue and 4th Street, and that's when we modified the policy to give people a benefit of a residential rate for half of it. So that started in 2007.
Okay, I drove down your other 4th Street project. There's a corner house there. There's a sign in the window that says, "I sell Tupperware." What was her assessment?
That's something you might have to come in, and I don't know that you'd have those numbers, would you, Stephen?
Is it something that I can look up or ask?
It's gotta be, I'm sure it's public information.
It's public information.
Yeah, we can get that to you. I don't know offhand, but we can get that to you.
Okay, I just want to be treated for what I am. It just seems like it's kind of, you know, I got a word for it, but you won't like it. I just think $17,000, it's going to cost me $200 a month for the next 15 years, and there's about a 90% chance I won't be there in 2 years. So what, do I get to shut this off after 2 years? I got to pay for it today. There's one day, if you were there that day and not tomorrow, I just don't get that part of the assessment.
You know, you've heard the options on how you can pay for it. I mean, you could put it could just be put on your taxes every year, and that way, if you're just there for 2 more years, obviously, you're not gonna be paying the whole price.
Well, somebody will.
Yeah.
Well, if I sell the house, the first thing they want you to do is pay off the
It
assessments.
sounds really, you know, it sounds excessive. I'm sure everybody thinks it sounds excessive. The problem is, we have a formula, and, you know,
I get it, I'm just telling you that it's kind of, it's failing.
I understand. It sounds like a lot of money.
I'm just asking for, you know, a fair share deal. That's what it, you
So
know.
as long as you realize you're getting what everybody else does in your situation, you're okay with it.
What is my situation? I mean, it's not a clear cut on what they determine a business. Is it they drive by, they walk? I could take the sign down.
Yours is clearly a business. I think you have signs up there, and, I mean, I know.
But I was gone for 4 years. Do I get credit for that when I wasn't there 4 years?
I don't know.
I was working in Rochester I just came back to work there. You know, there's a lot of circumstances behind it, and that's where I'm
No, I
just blown
understand.
away by it. And then I noticed they lowered the interest rate down. It was 5, now it's down to 4, which will help, you know, a minute bit, but it still equals out to about $200 a month for 15 years.
I understand. I mean, we just, you know, like I say, it does the formula. A lot of us have had our streets done in the last 2 or 3 years, and, you know, even the rates we get charged, it's like nobody's happy with.
Well, I've done some research. I've had friends do it, and, you know, they've had corner lots residential. Yeah, they're 4,000, 3,000. My mom just had hers done. It was 4,000. And then all of a sudden I get 17. Well, $3 short of 17,000. You know, you run your small business there. What is a small business?
Well, I think you clearly qualify as a small business. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's, you know, that's.
But where does it quit? That's what I just don't get. I don't get it.
You know, all I can do is direct you, and, you know, if you come in and Stephen could do it a little clearer, if you want to check on other
Oh, they,
ones.
you know, they're pretty aware of my concern about it.
If you want to check on other ones and make sure they're getting the same treatment, I'm sure he'd help you with that. But, you know, the only way we could help you would be to change the formula. And I don't know that council's ready to do that today, you know.
Well, I think the challenge is nobody likes an assessment. I don't like an assessment.
Well, yeah, I understand the assessment. The amount is what's got me.
Right.
If I was residential, it'd be about 9,000. So I just don't think it's a double your assessment deal for my one-man shop.
But if you'd have done this 10, 15 years ago, it would have been 20,000 or 22,000, I would imagine, because, you know, your rate got cut by a third or whatever when we cut it half of your property off for residential.
Yeah.
So, I mean, actually, if you're getting kind of, you're not getting a break, but, you know, you're fortunate that we didn't continue the same rates they were back then. You'd be even
What
on
would,
more
what would,
damage.
what would be the day that you would need, I mean, was it a certain day when you did the assessment?
You know, that's, you know, back in 2007 or something, it's, you know, it's way too long ago for you to get grandfathered in.
I'm just saying for this assessment, you know, was there a certain day? Was it a year ago? Because I didn't have a full-time business there a year and a half ago. That's what I was. When did the project come apart? I mean, I'm looking for a flaw is what I'm looking for. I mean, and you would too.
Close the business now, Stephen. I mean, how does that?
Close them up.
We start reviewing for assessments in December and January for the coming summer. So we don't do it years ahead of time or anything like that. We just started it
So
this
this
winter.
January or February or a couple weeks ago, you did this.
December, January timeframe, yep.
Mr. Huffman, I don't think you're gonna get an answer you're gonna like up here today, but I think you do an outstanding job with your business. I hate to see it close up. I think you.
It's
what's-
close.
What's
It's-
happening here, as long as we can fall on the side of, we have a policy to treat folks fairly. Now, fairly is different to different people, but we have a policy in place just so people can't come to us and say, well, because I do this, or I have this little qualifier, I can get a little less. I think we just take the totality and say, this is our policy, you fit into that box, and that's our rate. That said, your 17,000 is still a lion's share, a lot less than the city's gonna pay their portion to have that street reconstructed. And I get
Well, I
that's
know,
a hard
but
hit.
Where
but
does the
these are-
city get the money?
These are, sure.
Well, and I think that's where it comes down is,
We're probably not gonna give you the answer, but I always fall on, as long as we have a legitimate policy for good reason, that's good city policy to run it that way. So I feel for the 17,000 worth of damage to your pocketbook, but I have a hunch here that we're falling back on city policy.
well, and it's kind of a which pocket does it come out of? Because if it's not paid by the assessment, it gets paid by the general taxpayer. And, you know, best practice is like 30 to 40% of costs should be paid by the taxpayer. You know, just looking at numbers here, I think 11% of the total cost is being assessed. And so, you know, as assessment rates have gone up a few percentage points a year, construction costs have gone up 20%. So it's either we pay it here or your property taxes go up. There's not a great ansor.
My taxes
Unless you
have
come up
went
with a cheaper
quite
street,
bit
in which
in-
case we're there.
If for some reason we were to figure something out for you, not only would every person that's assessed in the future want the same rate, the council chamber would be filled up next meeting with everybody that's paid that rate since the change came into effect wanting a refund. So it's just not something we can do.
All right, I guess I didn't get my answer, but
We got your
there's
answer.
nothing you could do about it.
If there was
I just
something we
was-
could do, I think we would, but, you know, without screwing up the whole thing, we can't.
So it was a waste of time,
Not a waste of time, no.
so why would you have told me to come to the meeting?
What's that?
Why would you have told me to come to the meeting?
Well, you don't have your answer now. Hopefully you have more answers now than you did before.
Not the answer I want.
Well, I know.
I get it, but
I
I'm
understand.
very upset about it.
Sorry we can't do more for you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming in. Is there anybody else? This is a public hearing. Is there anybody else that would like to address the council on this? If not, we need a resolution for number 5.
So move the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Pashusta,
Aye.
Fisher, Baskin,
Aye.
Helly,
Aye.
Waller,
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Still under public hearings. Public hearing on street improvements on 5th Street Southwest, 1st Avenue to 5th Avenue Southwest, 6th Avenue Southwest, 4th Street to 6th Street Southwest, and 7th Street Southwest, 4th Avenue to 5th Avenue Southwest, project 20102. And Mitch,
Okay, so 5th Street, 6th Avenue, and 7th Street Southwest. A lot of this information will be the same as I just presented for 10th Street, so I'll skim over some of it unless you want me to elaborate more. So here's a map of the project location. You can see 5th Street is from 1st Avenue to 5th Avenue, 6th Avenue is from 4th Street to 6th Street, and 7th Street is from 4th Avenue to 5th Avenue Southwest. Just again, a few pictures of the existing conditions. A lot of broken up pavement, potholes. It's time for replacement.
Council? Is that it?
No, I got a little more. No.
You said you were gonna skip some.
You're not that lucky. You're not that lucky. I'm going to keep
That's not
talking.
answer, Mitch.
So again, we'll remove the existing pavement, curb and gutter. We'll widen the streets to 34 feet wide. Currently, they are 30 feet wide. We're looking at same replacement of deficient sidewalk panels and pedestrian ramps, storm sewer replacement, sanitary sewer manhole replacement, and again, we'll be providing tile line for sump pump connections to each house. Austin Utilities also has water main work on 5th Street and 6th Avenue, but not on 7th Street, and they will also be working on the underground electrical. This project we plan to start in July, and again, this one will take approximately 3.5 months depending on the weather. It'll have the same impacts to the residents. They won't be able to drive into the driveways. Garbage pickup will be on side streets, things like that. Same project benefits. And this project is estimated to cost $900,000, again funded by assessments, our local street fund, stormwater utility fund, and wastewater treatment plant fund. And this one will be generating $165,000 of assessment revenue. Again, same assessment rates as previous projects. This one is strictly a residential street, so there's no commercial rate on this one. And the same assessment payment options, generally spread out over a 15-year period. Any questions?
Any questions, comments? It's a public hearing. Yes, ma'am. You want to come up here and give us your name and your address and your concerns?
Hi, my name is Nell Zeller, and I live on 6th Avenue Southwest, and I understand all this. I have no real objections. I was here mostly just to learn more about it, and you've answered my questions in large part, so thank you. One question I do have, though, is how this will affect trees on the boulevards. And that's the whole character of our street. And I've seen this happen before. I mean, it'll be heartbreaking if the trees go, because it really is an old.
We just had a big discussion about this at our last work session. We're going to have Stephen answer you on that. Or Mitch, go ahead, Mitch.
Let's see if Steve and I are right.
So we brought the issue of tree removal to the council a month or so ago because we had some issues last summer with tree removal. And what the council had decided and directed us to do is we will be removing all ash trees on any street project due to the emerald ash borer. It's likely going to be here, and it will likely kill a lot of ash trees, so we're just trying to get ahead of that. And then we will try to minimize tree removal as much as possible on these projects. Generally, we have to widen streets for on-street parking, for our snowplows to get through, fire and emergency vehicles. So a 30-foot wide street in a residential area is not ideal, so we try and get it to, 36 is our preferred width, but when there's a lot of trees like there are in this street, we drop it down to 34 or 32 feet wide. So there will be some trees that come down on this project, but we will do everything we can to minimize that. We don't do any specific notification saying that this tree's going to come down, other than you might see a pink X on it someday.
I think what.
If you want to know specifically, you can leave me your address, and you can give us a call, and we'll let you know what we're thinking.
And Mitch, can you talk about, we're not there in 2020, but we're moving toward a net zero on trees. So if we have to take down boulevard trees, we're going to be replacing them either as part of that project or as part of another project.
Correct. Our goal, the council's goal in the future is to replace every tree at a 1-to-1 ratio. So we take a tree down, we plant one back. Not necessarily in the same location, but somewhere in town. And so we'll be working on that in the next few years.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, if there's nothing else, we need a resolution ordering improvements, approving plans and specifications, and ordering advertisements for bids.
So moved.
Is there a second? Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember King. Aye.
Bashusta.
Aye.
Fisher. Baskin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Waller.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 7 is a resolution, a public hearing on street improvements on Fifth Avenue Northeast, Oakland Place Northeast to 19th Street Northeast, project 20103.
Okay, again, another street reconstruction project, Fifth Avenue Northeast from Oakland Place near the boat ramp on East Side Lake to 19th Street Northeast. Again, a few pictures. Currently, this is a concrete street, and you can see there's a lot of asphalt patches, cracked concrete panels. If you drive down it, it's a very rough road right now, so it's, again, due for replacement. So we would remove the existing concrete, and we plan to replace this street with asphalt, similar to what we did with 19th Street in 2018. Again, replacing deficient sidewalk panels and upgrading pedestrian ramps to ADA requirements. As far as underground work, we're still looking at storm sewer replacement and sanitary sewer manhole replacement, and again, providing a tile line for sump pump connections. And Austin Utilities, again, has water service and main replacement, as well as electrical underground work. This project we expect to start in June, and once again, taking roughly 3.5 months. The same project impacts to residents with vehicle access, garbage pickup, things like that. Again, same project benefits as the other projects with upgrading the street. The total cost is estimated at $600,000 for this project, funded by assessments, local street fund, stormwater utility fund, and wastewater treatment fund. And we are generating $175,000 worth of assessments on this project. Same assessment rates, same assessment payment options, and same project updates. Any questions?
Public hearing, is there anybody here? Natalia, why don't you come up and give us your name and your address?
Natalia Jednargolika, 1802 Fifth Avenue Northeast, and just like Nell, that she left, I'm happy to see this because the slideshow is very clear and helpful, especially when you say ADA and so on. I have the wrong address assessed, although I know they checked. So one address is 1802, but I'm getting improvement for property located at 1825. So that alone, I would request to have more accurate letters when you guys send it. Those typos kind of, will freak you out, especially if you have a big bill. If one could have in this succinct letter, which is not easy to decipher, even if you speak English, it really doesn't explain much. So unless you have the time to come here and listen to you, I would suggest if we could have at least a link here that we can go and see these slideshows would be helpful. Because if not, it happens all in like Wizard of Oz. Like, we don't know what's going on. Where does money go? Like, where's the bid? How do we know that you guys actually went through a bid? But, and that we have access, or we can request for the project, or I don't know. It just seems a little bit, it could have more transparency. So to having a bill for whatever amount of number is not, it doesn't feel good when you don't have the detail of what's happening and what's for. So I just wanted to give that feedback.
Is there any way that somebody can access some of this information on their website?
On the website, it says here.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, we'll check into it.
So typically we do have these slideshows posted on our city construction page, which I don't create these letters, so I don't know that link is on there. The other thing is these projects are on our 5-year capital improvement plan, so you can see the projects we're going to do in 2021, 2022. So that's public information that council approves each year too. So there's other times, and I know not everyone's looking at it, but we do have these projects planned years out. So.
Correct. For those who are working in it, it's day in, day out.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
the property owner, you just get the bill.
Yeah, I understand.
So I think what the key information here is that the slideshow was very helpful.
It was extremely helpful.
So figure out how to get the slideshow to people with their letter. I don't care who does it or how it works, just figure out how to get the slideshow out.
I'd be willing to do it for everybody but Natalia, so.
Well, right, yeah.
Okay, any more questions? If not, we need a resolution ordering approving plans and specifications and ordering advertisements for bids.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
King.
Aye.
Pashusta.
Aye.
Fisher. Baskin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Waller.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 8 is a public hearing on street improvements on 7th Street Northwest, 8th Avenue Northwest to 13th Avenue Northwest, and 9th Avenue Northwest, 4th Street Northwest to 8th Street Northwest, project 20105. Mitch.
Yep, like the mayor said, 7th Street and 9th Avenue Northwest. This is a continuation of projects we've had going the last couple of years in the northwest area there. We're generally working to the southwest. We do have, after this year, we have a couple more years and then we'll be out of the neighborhood, so bear with us. Just a few pictures of existing conditions. I would say of any of these streets that I've talked about tonight, these are probably the worst condition. There's some quite large potholes that you can see here. So we, again, plan to remove the existing pavement, widen the streets to 34 feet wide for 7th Street and 32 feet wide for 9th Avenue, installing new curb and gutter and asphalt pavement, upgrading the sidewalk and pedestrian ramps. We will be replacing storm sewer and replacing all of the sanitary sewer on 9th Avenue Northwest, and constructing a few extensions on 7th Street. We also installed the tile service for sump pump connections, and Austin Utilities has water main and electrical work as well. We look to start this project right away in May, and we expect it to take approximately 4 months, again, depending on weather, and same impacts to residents on this project.
Are these projects, so they're staggered, kind of? I noticed like from May to July.
Yep.
They're just kind of staggered. Is it, does one project end and then the other begins, or?
Nope.
Okay, so it's different crews that can start at different times?
So we put the projects out to bid, and we don't know who the contractor is yet, and so it could be different contractors, could be same. We don't know right now. The biggest thing that we schedule around is Austin Utilities. They have 2 water main crews, and so we try and make our schedule fit their schedule, so we don't have 8 projects that are waiting for water main construction and they only have 2 crews, then that just puts everything to a halt. So we kind of build our schedule based on their 2 crews so they can go from one project to another throughout the summer.
Thank you.
Continue on. So the total estimated cost for this project is $1,225,000, and we are generating just over $200,000 of assessment revenue. Again, same assessment rates with the addition of a curb and gutter assessment rate. That's something I haven't talked about tonight. The first time that we install curb and gutter on a street, we assess the property owner that first time. So there are a couple of properties on this project that have never had curb and gutter. They will be assessed for it the first time, and then future reconstruction projects, they would not be assessed for the curb and gutter. Again, same payment options, and that's all I have.
Council, anything on number 8? Public hearing, is there anybody here who wants to address the council on this issue? If not, we need a resolution ordering approving plans and specifications and ordering advertisement for bids for number 8. So move the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Pashusta.
Aye.
Fisher. Baskin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Waller.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 9 is a resolution setting a public hearing for March 16th for street improvement project assessment. Need a resolution.
So move the
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Pashusta.
Aye.
Fisher. Baskin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Waller.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Number 10 is it's a motion and ordinance reviewing a dangerous dog ordinance. Mr. Byram? I think that's,
We reviewed this proposed ordinance in work session, and essentially it establishes a new process, I guess, for requesting appeals for either potentially dangerous or dangerous dogs, as well as a deposit to cover the costs of boarding those dogs.
okay. Council, do you have any questions? If not, we need a motion for preparation of the ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And B, an ordinance for adoption and publication of the ordinance.
Move for adoption and publication of the ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Pashusta.
Aye.
Fisher. Baskin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Waller.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 11 is a motion approving $25,000 from 2020 contingency fund for downtown Christmas decorations. Mr. Lang.
At the last work session, we discussed this, and there's council direction at that time to request the transfer of funds from contingency for Christmas upgrades, Christmas light upgrades, and we will focus on our decorative streetlights for now and stay away from the intersections and work to do what we can for that $25,000 this year.
Going to be very similar to what we had last year with just better lights, right?
We'll bring it back to council at a work session just to run it by you so everybody's on the same page.
Okay. Council, any questions? If not, we need a motion for 11.
So move.
Second.
Or all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 12 is resolution approving a community band fiscal sponsorship agreement. Mr. Dankert.
As the council's done past several years, since I think it was 2013, we've been asked by the community band to be a fiscal sponsor for them, which then allows them to access other grants, specifically the Southeastern Minnesota Arts Council, which has funded them, I believe, about $3,000 every year since. If they don't have the sponsorship agreement, it kind of nullifies their ability to go after it. So as in the past, we were asking council to pass a resolution to authorize us to sign the document to become a fiscal sponsorship agreement for the community band.
Council, if there's no questions, we need a resolution for 12.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Pashusta.
Aye.
Fisher. Baskin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Waller.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin. Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 13 is resolution approving a contact with WHKS for Southwest Turtle Creek I&I program. Mr. Lang.
This will be our third year for doing our I&I program. We started in the southeast in 2018. We went to the inner southwest in 2019, and now this year we're doing what would be the outer southwest area outside of Turtle Creek. We've had some pretty good success in the southeast. We had, when it came to sump pump inspections, we had a 10% non-compliance, which was a little higher than kind of the industry normal. In the inner southwest in 2019, we had 5% non-compliance, which is a little lower, but it's kind of what we expected for that older neighborhood. Here, as we get into the outer southwest, we anticipate our numbers to be up again, and we're hoping to find a lot just because we want to reduce our I&I. So ultimately, that's our main goal, is to get those sump pumps out of the sanitary sewer system. But with this project, we're also going to do other things, which will include manhole inspections, smoke testing, dyeing of services. We put a green dye in there to try to locate where they go. And we'll also do CCTV televising of all the sanitary sewer mains in the southwest. That contract we'll bring back to you later. It'll be in addition to this that we're requesting approval for tonight. But in this case, we've worked with WHKS for the last 2 years. They're doing a very good job for us, and we'd recommend approval of this contract for 2020 for the outer southwest area in the amount of $180,210.
Council, any questions or comments? If not, we need a resolution for number 13.
So move.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Pashusta.
Aye.
Fisher. Baskin,
Aye.
Helly,
Aye.
Waller.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 14 is resolution approving and adopt a park agreement for the Austin Municipal Dog Park. Kevin?
We've had Pet Supplies Plus approach us regarding adopting the park, and there's a document that's taken quite a bit of deliberation to put together to make it agreeable to both sides of the party, but we're very happy to have this come forth. It's something that I think is kind of a model for this area of the state. I've spoken with other people regarding this, and they're delighted to see it happening, and also are curious as to what's taking place.
Shannon Bagley, right? Why don't you come up here and tell us a little bit about this program? We're big supporters of the dog park.
Yes, everybody in Austin is, which is an
Yes,
amazing thing.
Yes, very nice.
So ever since I moved here in August, and a lot of people have been talking about the dog park, but they're always worried about it. So I talked to one of my clients in the salon. I'm the salon team lead at Pet Supplies Plus, and she was like, I really wish I could take my dog there. So she was worried about it being cleaned up. So
She's worried about what?
about it being clean because there's
Okay.
been some issues in the past, so she's just a little weary about it. So we're trying to alleviate those issues and, provide more poo stations around the dog park and just keep it nice and clean and tidy so, no dogs are, getting sick or getting into things they're not supposed to. So we're super excited.
Well,
I'm excited.
We're very appreciative of it. I think Holly here was one of the founding people that started the dog park.
I love
so,
your sign, by the way.
you know,
Whoever did that.
Yeah, it might be a little, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a great dog park, so it just needs to be well maintained, and we're definitely trying to help the community keep it maintained and cleaned and all that kind of stuff, so.
Well, that's terrific. We're very thankful and supportive of that. Thank you.
No problem, thank you.
Do we need, we need to get the resolution. So, council, any questions or comments? If not, we need a resolution for 14.
So move the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Pashusta,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Baskin, Helly,
Aye.
Waller.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 15 is a motion approving sale of cross-country ski equipment. Mr. Nelson. Kevin.
The Nature Center has replaced 20 pairs of boots and 20 pairs of cross-country skis, and we're looking to part with those outgoing skis. They are well-worn, and as Luke states, they were there in high school when he was in high school, so they've served their time. But there's minimal value to those, but we're selling them, wanting to sell them for around $200 total, but that requires a council approval, so we're looking for that tonight.
How do you sell those? I mean, do you just sell them, put a price tag on them there, and people come in and buy them, or?
There's a policy that dictates we're supposed to auction them, but, so that's the process we're gonna pursue.
Great.
Anyone interested?
Yeah.
Get your pair of skis.
How many, I mean, for 200, you must
20.
be almost giving them away if they're that cheap. And they're still serviceable, I would imagine.
They still work.
That doesn't sound encouraging.
I've had on some of the new ones, so the new ones are great. The old ones we're needing to be replaced, but there's some people who will still want them.
But they can always sand them down and do a lot of different things, wax them or whatever. I suppose they're busier than heck out there right now.
They are.
Terrific.
You can try to get a pair.
I have a pair. All right, we need a motion. If there's no questions, we need a motion for 15.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 16 is a motion appointing the following individual to the Arts and Culture Commission. Amy Thurston, a term expiring December 31st, 2021, and Trish Herron, term expiring December 31st, 2022. Need a motion.
Do we have people going off this commission already, or
I don't
this
know.
rounds it out?
No,
This rounds it out.
Yeah, we're just getting it filled out, right, Holly?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this would be a resolution actually increasing the commission to 9. We have, our ordinance allows 7 to 9. So
Okay.
this would allow 2 more, and then that would fill us up.
Great.
Right, okay, so okay, we're good. you're good to go if you want to approve these new members.
Okay,
I move to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 17, reviewing a rezoning request from Casey and Marilyn Skillenstad.
Yeah, this is at 2001 10th Place Northeast. Is everybody familiar with the location based on the maps included? During our February 11th, 2020 meeting of the Austin Planning Commission, we reviewed a request by the petitioners to rezone their property from an RO residential office district to an I-1 light industrial district, and to amend the future land use plan from mixed use to office/light industrial. The action was requested to facilitate sale of the property. There's currently, if you can see from the aerials, there's currently essentially a pole barn located on that property he was using to store semi, and it has some office space. There are no utilities connected to the best of my knowledge. The property, or the Planning Commission recommended approval of the rezone with 6 members present, 5 voting yes and 1 abstention. The Planning Commission found that the use was compatible with the surrounding uses and zoning. There are no significant impacts anticipated with regard to existing infrastructure and surrounding environment. And the comprehensive plan defines office or light industrial as an area intended for a mix of professional office, office warehouse, flex office, and light industrial uses engaged in assembling, packaging, and shipping previously manufactured components into finished goods, products, and similar businesses that provide wholesale goods and services. This is a lot of notches below what that actually allows. They also looked at the considerations, or the following considerations. Consistency with the comprehensive plan, which in this instance would have to be amended. The compatibility of the site and adjacent properties with the uses permitted in the proposed zoning district. In this instance, there is some detail included in the packet or the backup of what is allowed in an I-1 light industrial district. I can go through those if the council wishes. They looked at the proposed zoning district with the compatibility with surrounding uses in terms of land suitability impacts, environment, density, nature of use, et cetera, the capacity of existing infrastructure, whether the uses permitted in the proposed zoning district will cause any detrimental impacts, the boundaries of the requested zoning district are sufficient to meet dimensional regulations for proposed zoning district. One of the maps shows pink boundary to the north and then green to the south, and that in the open area indicates the buildable area on that lot, so there's not really a lot that can go there. Potentially another building could be added, but nothing to the degree where there would be a manufacturing facility or something like that at that location.
Is that it?
Yeah, yep.
Council, any questions or comments? If not, we need a motion to approve or deny the rezoning request. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? B is a motion for preparation of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And C is ordinance for, go ahead, Jeff.
Move for adoption and publication.
Second.
Was there, who was one?
Mr.
Jeffrey.
Second. Tom?
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Bashusta,
Aye.
Fisher, Baskin,
Aye.
Helly,
Aye.
Waller,
Aye.
Councilmember Large Austin.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0 now that Mr. Baskin did come back into the room. Otherwise, we're going to have a dilemma there. Thank you.
Saved you. And got basketball practice finished, so multitasking.
Okay. Number 18 is resolution approving a joint powers agreement for the Minnesota Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Chief?
This task force is led by the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. They investigate activities related to internet crimes and the exploitation of children through the use of computers. We have been party to this joint powers agreement in the past. That agreement lapsed in May of 19 after Detective Hayter had retired. With the promotion of Detective Ellis a few weeks ago, he is going to take that computer rollover that Detective Hayter had And by re-entering into this agreement, we again get access to the BCA's resources, additional training and equipment opportunities through them, and enhanced information sharing. And this agreement would serve our department for the next 5 years.
5-year agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think it's something that's really needed. I mean, that's
It-
kind of
It's very important. It's very important work that they do, and really for us, we get the majority of the benefits through the equipment, through the expertise, things of that nature. We would agree from time to time to loan out our investigators if they have a project going on, and really to me that's a win for us too, because it gets those investigators additional experience in these type of cases.
great. Council, anything? If not, we need a resolution for 18.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Pashusta.
Aye.
Fisher. Baskin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Waller.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 19 is a resolution receiving bids for southwest trunk main sewer lining.
Yes, at the last work session, we talked about this project, and since then, we also had an open house with residents that are impacted by this project. So the project will include lining a sanitary sewer trunk main that was constructed in the mid-1960s. It runs along Turtle Creek from the Southwest Lift Station upstream to nearly Oakland Avenue. The access to this trunk main is very difficult. It's located in the back of residential homes right along Turtle Creek, so it's something that it'll take a lot of coordination with adjacent property owners, and we've started that process again with our open house, and we'll look to continue that as we move forward with the project. We had 4 bidders on the project, with the low bidder being Municipal Pipe Tool Company. Their bid was $2,470,016.40. During the work session, we did talk about different alternatives that we could look at because this project came in over budget. And when reviewing those alternatives, we feel that this is still the right way to go with this project. It'll be funded with 1/3 wastewater treatment plant funds and 2/3 local option sales tax. So we would recommend awarding this project to Municipal Pipe Tool Company.
Questions or comments?
Why are we able to use lost funds on this? Is it part of flood mitigation?
Yeah, we had originally identified this as a way to prevent floodwaters from getting into the sanitary sewer through I&I. When we have a high water, the pressure of the water gets into the cracks in the pipe. So we looked at this as being a benefit, being able to use lost funds for that reason.
18.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Dankert. Councilmember King.
Aye.
Aye.
Fisher. Baskin.
Aye.
Helly.
Aye.
Waller.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Austin.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Are any citizens here tonight that wish to address the council on any item? If not, honorary council member Karam.
Carl.
You were very close. Gotta say it slowly.
Miss Rodriguez.
You were not even close there.
Well, they both start with honor, right?
Yeah, they're all- Those are Ukrainian names, just screw me.
I am Mexican. I'm not even there yet,
I
but
know you're gonna get this all down in the minutes verbatim, or?
I just want to say thank you to all that came, all the people from the public that came to talk today. I know that you felt, for example, that you didn't, maybe it wasn't worth it. I think it's at some point you said, but I just want to say thank you for coming today and for everybody else that came, because I think it's good for everybody to just be able to hear your feedback, your story, understand the impact that I guess the decisions are are causing. So thank you for that, because I think through that we were able to get some feedback from, I think, Natalia. And so I just want to say thank you. And that is all the comments I have.
Well, thank you. You know, sometimes I think we take that stuff for granted. It's good to hear a new voice on it. Reports. Let's start with
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Steve.
I have
Rebecca.
nothing, Your Honor.
Jeff.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
I wanted to mention that we're planning 4th Avenue Fest for June. It's set for Wednesday, June 10th. The Culture and Arts Commission is part of the process, and we're having a planning meeting later this week. Holly Wallace is the contact. So if you are connected with an organization along 4th Avenue and want to jump in, or if you just have an interest, the more the merrier. This is really a project that came together just because some interested people said, let's do it, and we did. So contact Holly if you want to get involved.
Thank you, Laura. Is that gonna be right down between Main Street and?
Yeah, so it's essentially between the library and the Paramount
Okay.
Theater in the City Park area is kind of the center of it. We've invited the new Austin Community Rec Center to be part of it, but we do understand that on launch year, there's a whole lot of moving parts and they may or may not be able to participate. But we're hoping to expand and just have a chance to get out and enjoy nice weather and celebrate our city amenities and be together.
Thank you. That's an area we're trying to focus on. Thank you. It should be fun.
Just wanted to compliment the Mayo Clinic Health System's hospice group. We're very blessed as a community to have outstanding medical care locally. And unfortunately, as a family, we had to utilize those services over the last couple of weeks. But they just did an outstanding job of making everything comfortable and, just taking a lot of worry and concern out of people. And I know that that's not an isolated incident with the Baskin family. That's something that they do with a lot of people. And they're definitely not the ones that get a lot of recognition. So I wanted to make sure that their appreciation was read into the record and acknowledged.
Thank you, Jason. Paul? Greg?
We met, a group of us went to Roseville to meet with the External Sign Variance Committee to try to get a brown road sign on I-90 for the Hormel Nature Center and the Spam Museum. We didn't get a response whether or not our variance was approved, but we hope to hear back from that, and hopefully our goal is to get people safely to those attractions that make Austin a tourist destination.
If we just put up a brown road sign, do you think they would notice?
We thought about that, having Stephen go in the middle of the night, but.
He'd have to sign it though, because we don't want to get blamed for it.
I got a hammer, I'm just saying.
I feel like we've made a run at this before as a community. It's
We
one
did,
of
but
those, like, pleasantly
we
persistent.
wouldn't be deterred, we're still pushing
All
on,
right.
so we went to the next level. We'll see if we're successful, but other than that, that's all I have, and Julie had an item as well. Julie?
Yes, I wanted to make you guys aware of a few things going on at the library. Next Monday on the 24th, we're going to have a tween breakout event. If you've ever heard people talk about the escape rooms, this is kind of like that, except for that instead of breaking out of a room, they're going to be breaking into a box using puzzles. It's really a lot of fun, and this is for tweens, so kids between the 4th grade to 8th grade. It's really a good time. We did have an escape room last year. It was really fun. So if you have kiddos available at between 4:30 and 6 on the 24th, that'll be going on. And then the Monday after that, March 2nd, we have Alash, the throat singers from the Republic of Tuva. And I had to look up Tuva, and it is in southern Siberia. So it's really, I think a lot of people have heard of them. They're really great, and it's a free concert at the library on March 2nd at 6:30. We'll close the library down at 5 o'clock to give them time to set up and then reopen it between 6 and 6:15. So if you're available, please come on out. They're pretty amazing. So thank you.
All right, that should be fun. If there's nothing else, we need a motion to adjourn till Monday, March 2nd. So moved. Second? Favor?
Aye.
Take a short break and meet, 5 to 10 minutes.